Hello, we're back again. And there you are. It's going.
Great. One of these days, Sam, I'm going to have you do the voice, and I'm just simply going to go up here and mouth.
That'd be fun.
That would really be fun.
You'd have to give me a script, though.
That would be-
Does that take way too much reading things?
Oh my gosh.
They take like videos.
Okay.
And they go over them.
Oh, the bad
and it's
lip
like,
reading?
it's so funny. They have one for Twilight. She's like, you punched a fish.
Okay, I have something to kind of go along with
It's
that.
so great.
That would be good.
Apparently,
okay.
I'll
Back
say
to
something.
exam. First line, free fear from your heart, not free your heart from fear, because mention's the direct object there. Secludete curas, set aside your worries. Then res dura and regni novitas, there's a little bit of trouble maybe sometimes there. Harsh circumstance and the newness of kingdom. Cogunt me moliri talia. Compel me to work at such things, and to tueri parallel to moliri, to watch over my boundaries widely with a guard. Pretty good on this next line. Who does not know the race of Aeneas or Aeneas' people? Who does not know the city of Troy? Got a little jammed up here. We want to keep those two distinct. And the courage and the men. Not just courageous men, but really the courage and the men. Or the fires of such a great war. Not such a great fire. Because tanti is genitive modifying belly. Right? Fire of such a great war. Essay. Holy mackerel. Folks did a fabulous job on the essay. I was thinking about typing some up, but then honestly nobody needs to see models because you guys do really well with that. Nothing to say. And the answers were D, C, B, A on the first four of the multiple choice.
It says that, and then I have a -2 on my score.
It's D, C, B, A, but it's possible that I took off 2 just for a random.
There you go.
I don't like Marcus reason.
Yeah, because it was the omitted one.
Yeah, no, it should be -0, so we owe you 2 points back. Hand me that, and I'll change it later. And then, extra credit and vocab what it is. So, nice job there. Questions about that?
Go over scansion like real quick, because like we like talked
Sure.
about it and like every
What
single
is
time.
Sure, let's hit scansion real quickly. I do want to say a word about your exam and get right back into our business here. Scansion. So, I guess first thing you need to realize is that of the 6 feet of a hexameter line, the only 4 you're ever going to care about are the first 4. Right, because the last 2 are always what? DS, dactyl sponding. Dactyl sponding. Long, short, short, long, long. Shave and a haircut. Okay? You guys don't even know that one, do you?
No.
I do.
You know that? Bump, bump. There you go. That's it. Now, the first 4 feet can be any mix of those. All right, so that's what you got to bear in mind. Be any mix. First thing you want to do when you mark scansion is to mark what?
After those two.
Well, elisions. You need to mark any elisions first. Okay, because I'll throw you off on your syllable count if you don't. So remember vowel, vowel. Right, word ends with a vowel, word begins with a vowel. Word ends with vowel M. The next word begins with a vowel. Word ends with a vowel. Next word begins H vowel. Word ends with vowel M. Next word begins H vowel. Any of those 4 combinations, 99.9% of the time, will yield an elision, and you want to mark that first. Okay? And so what happens when you mark that elision, the way we usually mark it, you're losing the final vowel sound of the preceding word. We just usually do a little tie over mark there and keeping the vowel of the next word. So let's look at one of these exams here. And I don't remember which line I seriously did mean. I don't know if I meant actual line 7 or line 207. I really don't know what I meant. But let's just look at, just for my own purposes, because I can't find an elision here in any of these. Yep, line 202. Let's look at line 202 very quickly. Where would there be an elision? This is on the exam section 3. There you go. Revocate animos. You would pronounce it revocatanimos. You'd lose the S sound of the preceding word. You keep the A sound of the second word, of the following word. Revocatanimos. Okay? So first thing you do is you go through and mark your elisions. Then you go through and mark anything that you know is long. Either because you are a genius, and you happen to know that it's long by nature. So maybe you see videra, and you remember your second conjugation verbs always have a long ERE. Or you recognize some ablative, and you just know it's an ablative. Maybe it's following cum or something, and so you know that vowel is going to be a long. And then you mark any longs by position. And vowel is long by position if it is followed by what?
Double consonant.
Double consonant, right? Double consonant. And X counts as a double consonant. So just in that same line, experti, the E is long by position. Of course, it's followed by an X and a P, it's true. But the X by itself would be enough. Once you've marked that, then it's just a matter of seeing what's left and marking your longs and shorts. Yes?
Diphthongs? What?
Diphthongs are long.
Yeah, and I know it's like AE.
AE or AE, OE, OI, these are getting whatever. AU. AU and AE are probably your most common. Okay. I don't know which line I mean, but let's just scan line 207 as a practice here. So let's see what we got. Rate, was met, rebus, servate secundis. Okay. So we know right away we're going to whack off the last 2 feet. So, ate secundis, we don't care about those, right? Last 2 feet are always going to be the same. So all we care about is the up front stuff. Okay, so first thing, are there any elisions in the first 4 feet here? Any elisions that you see?
Durate.
Durate. So we're going to kind of parentheses around the E of durate. We'll connect to there. Duratet.
Oh,
This is a help
I meant to ask this.
remember. Yeah.
With elisions, are those always long?
No,
No. Okay. Just.
they don't have to be.
Alright.
All right. So anything else we have to know is long. All right. So maybe we don't not sure about stuff, but what are any longs by position or diphthongs?
The O. Osime.
The O, what? Osmet?
Yeah.
Right, goes the S, M, okay.
You and
The what? Brenda, what?
The first C.
The first E in Serwate, okay, goes the RV, okay.
You.
U of Rebus, cause of the SS.
When the E's be long,
What E?
the double E's, the elision E's.
Yes, because of the TV,
Yeah.
okay. Y Wosmet, because it's followed by TR, okay. And of course, whether your foot is a dactyl or a spondy, the first syllable of that foot is going to be long. So you know this, you must be a long by nature, okay.
Because why?
Well, because whether it's a dactyl or a
Oh,
spondy,
right, okay.
that first position is going to be a long there. Now, what I notice is, if I've got a U is long, I'm not sure about this A, if I know this next vowel is long,
Has to be long.
that A has to be long, right? Because there's not enough room for 2 shorts. So, dur, ra, tet, was. Well, you tell me, what about that E of Rebus? It has to be long by nature, because then I've got my other, there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. It turns out we've got a spondaic line. The first 4 feet are spondies. Now, if we really want to get in that and say, that's worth noting because this is dactylic hexameter after all. And we've only got one dactyl in the whole thing. So the fact that he's chosen all spondees through here, you go, okay, now that's a little bit different. Why does he do that? And so you've got dura, tet, vos, med, re, bus, ser, vate, secundis. And now you got this big, long boom, boom, boom. We're pounding the kettle drum. And what is he actually saying? He's saying, durate, harden yourselves, and save yourselves, save your very selves, because of the met, the intensifying enclitic there. Save your very selves for what follows, or for the following things. So it's a very powerful line. It's actually the last line of Aeneas' speech to his men. So Virgil says, cue the kettle drums by putting in all the spondees there. Okay? The question marks. Others. Right, said Fred. All right, take out your text. Take out your text. It's way past the point of being funny now, but do you know what that group, Right Said Fred, was famous for? Whatever, one-hit wonders.
Yeah,
I'm too sexy, so. And I'd say it's way past their heyday. They had a one hit and they're gone now. Probably work at a car wash. But I think that would be really funny to do, again, like a state, a skit, like, Dido going along,
Have you ever actually had anything prepared for state?
Or, again, you could do any of these characters.
In the last several years, it's just been something somebody's improvised on the bus on the way there.
Yes, this year, by golly, we should do something prepared for state.
But improv is so fun.
Yeah, it can be if you know what you're doing, but most of the time for us it's a little on the.
But it was kind of good a few years ago when they did that the Kanye West Taylor Swift thing, but
Did we do that?
yeah.
Okay.
Did we do that?
Yes, well. So here it is. We left off on Friday, talking about just how stupid can you be. Because the horse got hung up how many times? Quater, 4 times, top page 106. No, I don't know what page it is. Is that 100? See, the numbers in this book are all kind of blurry and they're not printed well. But line 242 is what it is. They got stuck 4 times trying to get into the city, and 4 times what resounded from the horse? The clanking armor, yes. But our people, we were immemores, and we were kaiki. Heedless and blind with rage, madness really here, and we press on. And then the whole thing about Cassandra, she tries to tell everybody what's what, and nobody believed her because she was cursed. She was cursed. Nos, we misery people, delubra Deo, quibus ultimus esset illa dies, festa velamus fronde per urbem. We misery people, we wretched, we unfortunate people, we for quibus, I know we haven't got delubra Deum yet, but we will. We for quibus, for whom illa dies, not this, but that day, esset would be the ultimus, would be the last. We delubra deorum festa velamus fronde. What do? We wretched folk, we velamus. We cover, we decorate, we deck the delubra deorum. The shrines of the gods. Why do I keep saying Deorum since that's not what Virgil wrote? Because it's syncopated. Very good, Danielle. We decorate the temples or the shrines of the gods with festifronde. With festival branches. Now you could keep the Latin alliteration and say with festive foliage, but this kind of sounds stupid. And we do this per urbem. Throughout the city. We have a big party. Now, line 250 and following was to be in English, so you weren't supposed to translate that. So let's go ahead and look at it short, this little English bit. So from 250 through 268. So let's just look at it in the Latin together. Okay? In the meantime, Nox comes rushing in. Night comes rushing in. And there is Magna Umbra all over the place. The great shadow all over the place. And the Teucrians, in line 252 and 3 there, the Teucrians, Fusi per moenia conticuera. The Teucrians, having been Fusi, Fundo, fundera, fudi, fusus. We've had that word a lot. It's a word often used with a liquid to get it from one container into another. Poured, yeah. The Teucrians poured out throughout the Moenia. What are the Moenia of the city? The walls. They all conticuera. Yeah, they all became quiet and sleepy. Now, I gotta be honest. In the words of Metallica's Enter Sandman, usually it's, now I lay me down to sleep. Right? I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Which of course is another little children's thing anyhow, but it's also in Metallica. But anyhow,
I like the reference.
we lay our bodies down. Led Zeppelin, In My Time of Dying. Right, where's Christian when you need it, right?
Yeah.
Going to lay my body down so I can die easy. Poured out. If I'm just going to fall asleep wherever I drop, that's not usually at the end of a hard working day. It would indicate drunk. Thank you, John. That would indicate inebriated. That would indicate a little bit too much of the decking of the temples all around the city there. Got a little bit into the, Grandpa's cough medicine. And then basically where they dropped. Fusi per moenia. They're just passed out all over the place. Sopor. Yes, Sopor. Yes, sleep. All right. Sleep embraces their artus. Embraces their limbs. Yeah, well, all right. Sleep and the fruit of the vine. All right. Now, meanwhile, scariest stuff you're going to see, an Argiva phalanx comes along. A Greek phalanx comes along. And now here come all these Greek ships at night, sailing silently from the waters, away from what island? Tenedos, back to Troy. Right? And they're sailing through the Amica Silentia. Through the, what kind of silence? Through the friendly silence of the Takatai Luna, of the silent moon. And of course, remember when he said Tenedos as an island was Male Fida in respect to the Trojans. And now the silence is Amica Silentia with respect to the Greeks. Right? It's friendly silence because now they can sneak up on us. And look at that. They seek the well-known shores. Of course, they're well-known shores. They fought there for 10 years. Right? And they brought out the fires. Okay? And dadgummit, line 259, Sinon. Now, who is Sinon? We had this character a few lines back.
The kid pretending to.
Yeah, the lying Greek pretended he got left behind. look at what you get. Sinon is the one who loxot, who releases, it's the root of relax, right? He releases the Danaos who have been shut inside the horse. Sinon is the one, okay? And so there you go. Lo and behold, everybody starts to jump out. You got Thesandrus and Sthenelus. You got harsh Ulysses. They all slip down a rope. A bunch of other people you'll never hear of before unless you name your children after them. Acamas and Thoas. Pelides. Now, don't escape Pelides here. Any idea who that would be? Descendant of Peleus. Now, well, we'll come back to that. Well, actually, they go ahead and name it now. Pelides Neoptolemus. Okay? Let's look at that patronymic for a minute. Okay. Patronymic, what's patronymic?
I know.
Yeah, father.
Right, so here we go. You've got Iacchus. Has a son, Peleus. Marries the goddess Thetis. Has a son, Achilles. Has a son, Neoptolemus, who will also be called Pyrrhus. Okay? Now what's interesting is that Achilles will be called sometimes Pelides, son of Peleus, or Iacchides, grandson of Iacchus, because both the male father and grandfather there were famous. Then Neoptolemus or Pyrrhus could be called Achilles. I'll be honest, I don't recall Virgil ever calling Neoptolemus Achilles, although he certainly could. But notice he refers to him as Pelides also, the grandson of Peleus. He's not the son of Peleus, because by this point, actually, Achilles is dead. Okay? So this is definitely, and then of course he gets named here, Pelides Neoptolemus, the son, or the grandson of Peleus named Neoptolemus. And then these other fellows, yes?
Pyrrhus, is that the same Pyrrhus that we get Pyrrhic victory from?
It is not. Same exact name, but that was a much later guy in historical figure.
That's what I was thinking. It
Who
was
was a
Roman,
king.
right? No, not Roman.
And, oh, another little piece of thing for Jeopardy one day, boys and girls. If you ever want to know who built the horse, whose idea was the horse? Ulysses or Odysseus. A lot of people might know that, but who actually built it? It's right there in line 264. The fabricator doli, the maker of the trick, this guy named Epeius. He's the carpenter, I guess, who actually built the thing. So they all slide out of the horse, and top page 102, 265, they invadunt the urban. Like it looks. They invade the city, and this is an incredible line, so full of meaning. A city, says Virgil through Aeneas, that has been sepultum, has been, I think, sepulcher, has been buried with somno and wino and wine. And indeed, the city has been buried in sleep and wine, metaphorically at first, right? Because the sleep, of course, always connected with death. Edgar Allan Poe had the line, sleep, those little slices of death, how I loathe them. Well, of course, he was a heroin addict, so what do you want? Anyhow.
And the Trojans smoked him.
And the Trojans smoked him. But they're metaphorically buried, but in a few hours, they're literally going to be buried. And it is thanks to the sleep and wine. If they hadn't been asleep at the switch, they would have perhaps been able to have defeated the attacking Greeks. They immediately slaughter the Vigiles, and then they open up the gates and bring everybody else in. So once the horse is inside, they open up the gates from the inside. And of course, that's really the whole notion of a Trojan horse today when we think about a virus. You know, it piggybacks in on something else and does damage. We pick it up now in line 268. Tempus era, quo prima quies mortalibus aegris incipit. It was the tempus. It was the time. In quo prima quies. First something. First quies. First sleep. Incipit for mortalibus aegris. Begins for what kind of mortals? Wretched, weary, afflicted, all that from aegris mortals. So it's at first, you're gone, man. You're out. Et dono dium gratissima servant. And when that first sleep begins, and serpent. How does that sleep kind of move?
Crawl.
Like a serpent. That kind of snakes its way into your body and your consciousness. That first sleep. It's serpent its way in. Gratissima. Very pleasing. As a dono divorum. As a gift of the gods. Insomnies. In slumbers, in the dreams. Aggie! Look! Aeneas is telling a story and he can see it again. Oh, the horror! He's reliving the nightmare. Says, in my sleep, look! Can't you see it? Ante oculos! Before my eyes! Maestissimus Hector! Most something Hector. Saddest Hector. I don't know that sad is quite right here. The dude lost a one-on-one battle that condemned his whole city to death and then had his body dragged around the city 3 times to the humiliation of his parents. I don't know it's sad. Quite even if you put it in the superlative and say most sad. Most mournfulest. Yes, the most mournfulest. Maybe wretched. Again, maestros can sometimes be wretched. Okay, and I think wretched. Wretched is a great word.
So we should be I did say it's like most wretched.
Most wretched, yeah.
They kind of had brought it back with Ratchet. You know that?
Oh.
Oz Ratchet.
What is that? Stop it.
Never heard this. What?
Whoa,
No.
whoa.
No,
This is
no,
weird.
just stop it.
Caitlin and Danielle it's like the guys at the airport are waving me off. They're like, no, don't go there. Don't land on this one. What?
This new, I don't call it like an adjective or something that it's been like propagated among our generation, and it's called ratchet. And
Yeah,
when
like
you say,
something
oh, it's
fat.
ratchet, it means like that's goofy, that's
Wretched. Literally, it's just like
I
wretched.
think
like
it's a
forcing.
slur of like wretched, and it's like
But you're saying ratchet as in R-A-T-C-H-E-T,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
a tool, like a ratchet,
It's a
a
noise.
ratcheting.
and they say that's
Ratchet.
ratchet. I think it.
I've never heard that.
I'm surprised.
I
it's-
know,
I
I
know
know
we
we
hear it. I don't know what it is.
My prediction is that's going to have a shelf life of 5 minutes. That's going to go the
Oh,
way.
yeah, it's
Oh.
already is
It's
kind of
not
going
Every
out.
other random piece of slime.
Now it's used as like ironically. Like people don't say it seriously, like, oh, it's ratchet. It's like, oh, it's ratchet, like a joke kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't say it seriously.
Nobody says it seriously.
Yeah.
I can't imagine saying it
It's already
seriously.
pretty much passed.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like I may have already died. All right, but thank you. Okay, but there it is. Wretched, though, is the word I'd like to bring
Poor
back.
people's die.
Yes. Behold, most wretched Hector before my eyes. He visus adesse mihi. Now, remember the passive of video.
See?
Seemed, yes, he seemed to adesse mihi. Or he seemed mihi adesse. He seemed to me to adesse. Yeah, to be there. Ad sum is to be present. This is very good. Aeneas and Virgil, his author, know that, of course, Hector wasn't there. It was his ghost. And so he doesn't say Hector was there. He's very careful to say that he seemed to be there. Okay, so this guy is appearing in his dreams. He is clearly a ghost. It's an apparition. But he seemed to me to be there. And he seemed, still hanging off of Uesus, to a fundera largus flatus. To pour out, there it is, a fundera compound from funda. We had futsi a couple lines back, right? You just got it. To pour out largus flatus. Abundant tears, flowing tears. Hector seemed to be crying. Hector, you know Hector, don't you? The guy having been raptatus bigis ut quondam. He was standing there, ut. Now, you know ut to mean what?
That.
So that. Here's something maybe new. Ut can also mean as. And when ut means as or when, it is never used with a subjunctive, always with an indicative. Okay? So ut with an indicative will mean as or when. He seemed to stand there. He seemed to pour forth tears. Ut quondam, as he once was, having been raptatus bigis, having been snatched up by the two-horse chariots. Now pause there for boys and girls. When was Hector ever snatched up by a two-horse chariot? If you remember, 1 minute and 17 seconds ago, I just mentioned it. When Achilles dragged him around. Now, how handsome you think a fella looks when he's been tied up with the chain to the back of the old Reese hitch behind the big Dodge Durango and driven around.
Which part of his body?
Pretty ratchet, says Danielle. Nice.
Depends on what part of his body.
That gets over my joke.
Oh, we didn't hear that, like,
It's an awesome joke.
Yes.
like an American Werewolf, and like, there was in London one of those.
Yeah.
It's like those things, they're dead and they come back.
It's going to be gross.
Like
I mean,
zombies.
it's
I
going
feel
to
like
be.
he's like, falling
Okay.
apart right there.
Okay, exactly right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like an arm
That's
on
what he
top.
looked like. And he was ater. He was, it's a color word, ater. He was dark, he was black, with cruento pulvera, with bloody dust. And he was trajectus, pierced through his pedes tumentes, get rid of tumor, through his swollen feet. Lord. Leather strap, the leather strap that Achilles had used. That's how he appears. He's bloody. He looks hideous. And Virgil cries out, and this is what you want to be able to, this is a good one for you to memorize. E mihi. Say it with me. E mihi. That means alas to me, or woe to me, or oh me. So next time you hit your thumb with a hammer, rather than shouting out the typical florn, filth, florn, filth, foul, florn, filth that you usually do,
Take the time to think.
you say, "Hey, me!"
Oh.
You cry out in Latin pain.
What?
Oh me, he said. Qualis erat quantum mutatus ab illo Hectore, qui redet exuvias indutus Achilles. Such he erat, such he was. How much mutatus, how much changed from illo Hectore, from that Hector, qui reddit, who returns having been indutus exuvias Achilles. Induo, endura.
Put on.
Having put on or having been dressed in the exuvias Achilles. The armor of Achilles. Okay, so you remember the deal. What happens is that Achilles, through the majority of the Trojan War, is where? No, I take it back. I take it back. No, in the last year of the war. Where is it? He's in his tent, right? He's hacked off because Agamemnon has taken his girl. So Achilles says, "Hey, this wasn't my war to begin with. Forget y'all." And you know, I'm going to go in my tent and play Sudoku. And so he's hanging out in his tent doing nothing, and the Greeks are getting it handed to him, right? And eventually Achilles' friend, Patroclus, says, "You know, this is enough, and will you let me go out in your armor, and I'll lead the men?" Achilles does actually allow this. In the movie, it's a complete surprise to Achilles, but Achilles allows it. And Patroclus goes out in Achilles' armor. Well, he gets killed by Hector, who thinks it's Achilles. And as any decent warrior would do, he despoils the body, right? He takes the prida, right? He takes the loot, which would be Achilles' famous armor, and comes back into Troy with it. And says, says Aeneas here, he says, you know, this image of this bloody, torn ghost is so vastly different from the day I remember when here came Hector. And he was wearing Achilles stuff, right? I mean, he's got the WWE belt up above his head, right? You know, he's marching in, he's feeling good, you know. And he says, and that was how I like to remember him. And he says, he's so changed now. Or I'll tell you what, he's also changed from that day, you know, when he Iaculatus, when he threw fire, threw Phrygios fire.
Freezing?
No.
Oh, no.
This is an ethnic term. No, not Greek fire. Phrygian fire. Trojan fire. Thank you, John. Phrygia is another term for this area of Asia Minor where Troy is located. So
I feel like they would have been very confused at how many different names they had for.
Oh, honestly, yes.
I mean,